Great to have you with us. Now, in our first story, the U.S. government has started raids into homes to remove people living in that country illegally. The forced deportations by the Trump administration is targeting over 11 million immigrants, including Ghanaians. Ghana is already under a U.S. visa restriction over the country's refusal to accept more than 7,000 of its passport holders facing deportation. So what does this mean for Ghanaians living in America? Joy News' Justice Beidou is in the U.S. state of California for us and now reports.
Once in a year, Ghanaians living in the U.S. state of California come out to make merry. Many of these children are first, second, some even third-generation Ghanaian Americans who've only known the United States to be home.
So today is a day to bring everybody together, to expose our children to our culture.
But now times are changing.
Not everyone who seeks to join our country will be able to successfully assimilate. Sometimes it's just not going to work out. It's our right as a sovereign nation to choose immigrants that we think are the likeliest to thrive and flourish and love us.
And this administration is definitely into fear-mongering. So personally, it can be very scary, this whole idea, right? But it also makes me feel a little bit more connected to my home, because clearly I'm not always welcome here. Like, I've been living here for a long time, but this is ultimately not my home. And I think a lot of us feel that way, where you feel like, we are really strangers.
This is very depressing when you hear that day after day. People can say anything against foreigners and it's okay. It wasn't like that before.
Immigrants from countries like Ghana are generally not the target for crackdowns like the one that is currently happening, in part because unlike countries like Mexico, where people would just need to cross a physical border to get here, Ghanaian immigrants would have to go through the more rigorous process of coming here through the sea or by air. But Mr. Trump's ruthlessness on immigration means no one is really safe. As it stands, up to about 7,000 people holding Ghanaian passports have been asked to go home.
Derek Akrofi.
Derek Akrofi, himself a first-generation Ghanaian American, is an immigration attorney who's been defending many of such victims for years.
Under previous administrations, the focus was on people who had committed serious crimes. So within that definition would fall any number of heinous offenses. But there appears to be, with the present dispensation, a broader-based approach, just enforce the law across the board. So if it's a case of an overstay, yeah, it's as bad as the next person that probably committed a serious offense.
Donald Trump's 2020 re-election bid hinges largely on immigration. It's uncertain if he would get another term. But even more uncertain is the future of foreigners, so-called, in the United States. Justice Beidou, Joy News, Los Angeles, California.
We got a winner! We got a winner!
Still live on Joy News today. Now, a group calling itself Concerned Youth of Asawa NDC is warning of chaos in the party if national executives refuse to address issues arising from the upcoming parliamentary primaries. Members accuse leadership of attempting to impose current MP Muntaka Mubarak on the constituency in breach of party constitution. Convener Fatiu Saliu says the group had to fall on police for protection in order to be able to pick nomination forms for an aspirant, Masaudu Mubarak. Nanaya Ojima was at the news conference and filed this report.
According to the group, party leaders resisted a bid to pick forms to contest incumbent MP. Mr. Salihu says they had to visit party regional office twice before they were able to secure forms for their preferred aspirant. He alleges a Facebook post by Regional Secretary Kwame Zu listing candidates which excluded Masawood Mubarak.
By the party's regulation, they know there could be this kind of intimidations at the constituency level. So if it so happens at the constituency level, we have to go and seek redress at the regional level. So we were so amazed that the regional executives were even doing worse than the constituency executives. Later, did we know that it was a plot by some regional executives, especially the chairman, the secretary, and the organizer, who had promised Honorable Muntaka that they will not allow anybody to contest him. As law-abiding and peace-loving members of this great party, we think things must be done differently.
Mr. Salihu wants party leaders at the national level to find solutions to the problem to protect party's image before general elections.
I raised the issue of Wasu Ibrahim, who met his untimely death at the Ashanti Regional Office of the NDC. It was due to such disagreement that is being caused by some executives of the region. As a matter of fact, wherever there is disunity, anything is capable of happening. That is why we are calling on them to step into this issue so that it doesn't disintegrate into any other issue.
Away from that story, President of the Ghana Bar Association, GBA, Anthony Forson, has added his voice to the mini condemning the confinement of Gregory Afful after a court granted him bail in March. Mr. Forson is calling for an investigation into the matter and the sanctioning of officials who refused to release Afful. Asked why the association did not speak out on the matter, Mr. Forson explained they wanted the case to play out in court without any interference, assuring the legal team knows what to do. He spoke to me on the Super Morning Show today.
My investigations proved that his lawyers were on the ball. And I do not think that, you see, the Bar Association must be jumping into matters which are before the courts. That is why we're careful about jumping into the matter. His lawyers were dealing with the issue. The matter was on appeal, and I am very careful about, trying to stampede the court into acting one way or the other. The court had given its orders, and the actors were not complying with the court's orders. Now, when somebody is not complying with the court's order, I know that the lawyers should know exactly what to do, irrespective of who is involved, because all persons, from the president to the last man, are subject to the rule of law. Nobody is above the law. Everybody's powers which he exercises in this country have been clearly delineated in the Constitution. Therefore, if somebody has been given an order by a court of competent jurisdiction and he is not complying, the lawyers ought to know what to do. If a person is not represented, that is a different matter. But when the person is represented by competent lawyers, I do not see why those people should not be able to apply the law as it is. That is where I have a little challenge, because then what you would be advocating is that where a matter is before the court, the Bar Association must be standing on alert to see whether or not justice has been done in any individual case. I do not think that we even have that manpower or competence to do that.
In the case of the SA3, Mr. Forson, where some 3 South African ex-security officials were subjected to the very same treatments that Gregory Afful was, the Bar Association was loud. A statement was issued, and the circumstances were not different.
Yes. So the Bar Association has not given a statement.
In this case, that's the question that has been raised.
And therefore, what is the conclusion that you are trying to infer?
I'm asking why.
Well, because I was of the view that the matter was playing out in court. That's it. So long as the matter is being played out in court. You see, I find it a bit objectionable. When the state lost its appeal, was the Bar Association supposed to speak against the loss of the appeal? No, because I thought that the matter is playing out in court. So long as the matter is playing out in court and everybody has access to justice, I find it difficult to understand why people think that we ought to stampede the process. It is a matter which, if found to be correct, people must be punished. The laws of Ghana work. They should be seen to be working.
Meanwhile, spokesperson for the Gregory Afful legal team, Nana Awase, has expressed disappointment in the Ghana Bar Association, the Christian Council, and other relevant bodies who have failed to speak against the injustice meted out to their client. Gregory Afful, who stands accused in the case of murder involving Upper East Chairman of the NPP, Adams Mahama, remained in custody for 3 months despite the High Court's decision to grant him bail.
When Greg's rights were being abused, when there was no court order, before yesterday, these bodies had been quiet. Amnesty is not the only body in Ghana. We have Christian Council of Ghana, Ghana Pentecostal Council, my own Bar Association. Have you heard from the Bar Association?
So I was coming to that. How do you feel as a lawyer that all these anomalies are happening and the Ghana Bar Association has not spoken yet?
I am disappointed. Much as I'm disappointed in the Christian Council and all other bodies that had voice in times past. And today, somebody's rights are being abused.
What would you have had the Ghana Bar Association do in this current circumstance?
In all these situations, a court of competent jurisdiction has given an order, made a decision, and the police is abusing it, and you think they will have nothing to say? I am able to tell that some of those institutions are not acting because I am aware they were petitioned.
Okay, by who?
By the family of Greg Afful.
Okay, which institutions specifically?
Christian Council, Ghana Bar Association, name them.
Okay.
So if you have a petition, investigate the petition and say that, oh, this is worthless. You have not heard anything. You see that when Amnesty International did something, you have some basis to say that, oh, some time ago you heard them make a move. That is evidence positively in favor of them.
Okay.
What about the rest?
Away from that story, the Sandama Senior High Technical School has been closed down following the death of one male student of the school Tuesday night. The student is said to have died in a clash between students and police who had been called into the school to control a riot. The Busa North District Security Council, led by the DCE David Afful, just held a meeting with the school authorities who are yet to speak on the matter. My colleague Albert Sorry joins live with more. Albert, do we know what caused the riot which brought in the police?
Hello?
Albert, do you know the cause of the riot? Right. Okay. Pardon me. Who we have on the line now is David Afful. He is the Busa North District Chief Executive. Mr. Afful, thank you very much for joining us. We understand you just held a meeting with the school authorities. What were some of the issues deliberated there?
Yeah. We had to close down the school because there was still tension mounting in the school, and the best option is to close them. And so we've given them 2 weeks. They will report back by the 30th. Meanwhile, we have also set a committee.
Mr. Afful, can you please speak up for us? We can hardly hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
It's a bit better, please.
All right. I'm saying that we have closed down the school. And because there was still tension mounting in the school. So that was the best option we had to take. We have also set a committee to look into the matter, and we're giving them 3 weeks to come out with a report. So far, that's what we have done.
Okay. Do we know what caused the riot?
Yeah, it's just between the students themselves. I hear there were some cadets who actually gone to after press and asked the students who were studying to leave the place and go back to the dormitory. And then there was some resistance. So a master came around and advised the cadets to leave the students alone. After the students left, the other students also mobilized and attacked the cadets. And so that is how it started. And before they realized, the whole school, was in a mess. Students attacking masters, burning of motorbikes and what have you. And so they had to call in the police. Unfortunately, when the police came, students were attacking the police as well. According to the police commander, they were throwing stones at them. You know, but what has happened now is that we lost one student who died, and we are yet to get confirmation from the medical doctor whether it was a bullet or whatever it is. We are yet to take that confirmation.
How soon can we get that confirmation?
Well, as soon as, in fact, they just told me again that they need a coroner to look into it, and the person will be coming from Tamale. So we are thinking that we will send the body to the Navrongo morgue, so that as and when they get him to calm down, then we'll know the cause of death.
Okay, now, Mr. Foko, the school is closed down, but are the students still there, and how long do they have to vacate the premises?
No, they have left. In fact, I was there after speaking to them, they left.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. David Afoko, for joining us. He is the DCE for Bolsa North. Let's go back to the phone lines now and speak with my colleague Joseph Acaba, because the High Court is sitting on the Gregory Afoko matter. Joe, thanks for joining us with this update. Now, what is happening in court today?
So it's the trial that is starting, and the trial has to do with the murder of former MPP Upper East Regional Chairman Adam Mahama. So the charges were formally read today against the two individuals, and the charges against them relates to conspiracy to commit crime, namely murder and murder. The charges were read against Gregory Afoko, who is the brother of the former NPP National Chairman Paul Afoko, and he's also a farmer, as was introduced by prosecutors, and a butcher, as Saki Alangbi, who is the second accused person. The team pleaded not guilty to the charges against them. The state prosecutors then read the facts of the case to the court, and they informed the court that sometime in 2015, the then national chairman of the NPP, Paul Afoko, and the general secretary, Kwame Japon, held a meeting in the Upper East region. According to the prosecutors, the intention of the meeting was to work against the party's flag bearer, Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, who was not the president then, was the flag bearer of the party. And it was during that meeting that some young men who had been organized by Adams Mahama, who was the original chairman, attacked and scuttled the meeting on the basis that they had failed to inform the original chairman before holding that meeting. The prosecutors say that because Gregory Afoko and Asaki Alangbi, who are both members of the party's youth wing, were unhappy about the fact that that meeting had been scuttled days after they attacked Adams Mahama while he was heading home and poured acid on him. While he was rushed to the hospital, according to the prosecutors, he informed 3 witnesses that the 2 individuals are the persons who poured the acid on him. And the state prosecutors say in the course of the trial, they are going to invite 19 witnesses to prove that these 2 individuals are the persons who caused the death of Adam Mahama, the former Upper East Regional Chairman of the governing New Patriotic Party.
Joseph, help us refresh our memories. In the initial case, Gregory Afoko was the only suspect standing trial. 14 witnesses were brought in. Their testimonies were struck out, right?
Yes, that is so. But the information now is that they are going to rely on 19 witnesses. So the point, according to prosecutors, we are told is that it's because of the fact that one, there is a second accused person, as you rightly pointed out. The first time was only Gregory Afoko was standing trial, and so they will have to demonstrate and get other witnesses who also corroborate various aspects of the story relating to the 2 individuals. And so they said that the main issues that will be proven in the course of the trial, first is that Adams Mahama indeed died by the autopsy report, which they were submitting to show that indeed they will again show that he died as a result of injuries that were caused by acid which was poured on him by these 2 individuals, and they will get witnesses who will corroborate that story. So in terms of the case of the prosecution, number of witnesses has been increased from 14 in the previous trial to 19 now.
Are these same 14 people going to be witnesses this time?
We are unable to tell at this stage because the facts of the matter, in terms of the specifics and the evidence and the exhibits to be sent and all those issues, have not been laid out. Even the order of the witnesses, we don't know that yet. But what we know for a fact is that the exhibits that were used, so there's a taxi that we are saying belongs to Gregory Afful that had some portions of acid on it. That will be tendered in once again. A gallon that was found at Gregory Afful's residence, believed to be containing acid, again will be tendered in once again, was used in the previous trial. And also, some of the witnesses, like the wife of the late Adams Mahama, who also testified in the previous case, will also be testifying. So those are the ones that we are clear of in terms of what's happening in the previous trial that is likely to happen in this particular trial as well, Daniel.
And just to be clear, that gallon of acid was retrieved from the home of Asabki Alangdi after Adams Mahama died?
That is so, Daniel. That is after, if you recall, he was the gentleman who actually escaped. And so after they were trying to locate him, when they went over to his room and his room had been locked and they broke into the room, that was when they found that particular gallon in the house. And so that is also one of the very key exhibits that they'll send in, because the state prosecutors say that they'll be showing that it is that same substance, that is the acid that was in it, that was also found in the track shoe that was found in the residence of Gregory Afful, which connected the two of them in terms of the conspiracy before the issues about the murder itself will be dealt with.
Thank you very much, Joseph Akable. It promises to be an interesting next couple of months as this case plays out at the Accra High Court. Of course, your most credible news source, Joy News, will have all those updates. You want to stay with us because coming up, the U.S. government is raiding homes to forcibly remove suspected illegal immigrants in a new crackdown targeting 11 million residents, including Ghanaians. We brought you that story earlier. We will take you live to our correspondent, Justice Bedu in California, for more. Welcome back to Joy News Today. My name is Daniel Dazen. Now, Donald Trump has told 4 U.S. congresswomen to go back to their countries, setting the White House against the Democrat-dominated U.S. Congress, which is calling for his impeachment. Well, Justice Bedu has been tracking the raids of some immigrants' homes, targeting some immigrants, including Ghanaians, and he joins us with more. Justice, what more do we know about this story?
So these raids were actually meant to happen ago, and there's been ongoing disagreement between the Trump White House and then the U.S. Congress over the mode in which it should take, because whereas the Congress believes that there should be a more humane approach to it, Trump believes that the U.S. government, U.S. immigration laws have been too lenient on people who come, who have fallen foul to immigration laws in the United States. And so what it is there are many people who either overstayed their visas or many people who have been working illegally with other people's identities in the U.S. And many of these people would already have been cautioned or have been some form of taken through some form of legal processes and waiting to go home or sent or deported back to their home countries, but then have the opportunity to either be working or be with their families here. Now, with this Trump era, they are enforcing the laws en masse, which means then that people with very little criminal record are all being added to this weight, and so it takes in the form of people you can be stopped on the road, in your workplace, and people's houses, and so it is a mood of fear for many immigrants, especially the Ghanaian community who are living here in the U.S.
In a number of these cases, these persons have children and they have family members who may depend on them there. Do we know what becomes of these family members if their beneficiaries or their benefactors are deported?
It is a situation of uncertainty, Daniel. I'm speaking with a couple of people in the leadership for a lot of these association of Ghanaians living out here. And I've heard stories of some minors who have had to be taken in custody of ICE, and then ICE is like this version of the immigration service, for example, in Ghana. Instances where their parents have had to be taken out of this. And so, yeah, it is times of uncertainty, many people not knowing what will happen, and people just waiting to see if something would change. But it looks really unlike that is going to happen, Daniel, because Mr. Trump, who is now seeking re-election, is going to rely heavily on how ruthless he will be on his immigration policy. And that is obviously because that sort of narrative appeals to his core vote. So it doesn't look likely at all that it is going to change for the Daniel.
Now, Ghana got about $2.2 billion from foreign remittances last year. It's one of our highest foreign exchange earners. So this is a matter of concern for us. Has the embassy spoken in any way?
I haven't seen. I've been looking online for a couple of days now. I haven't seen any clear statement from the embassy here or from the Foreign Affairs Ministry back in Ghana. This whole idea, this whole issue has been raging from the beginning of the year. You remember, Daniel, when the U.S. government said that placed the visa restriction on Ghana over the country's refusal to take back people who had been deported as far back as last year or sometime in 2016. And yesterday I had an interview with an immigration lawyer in California, and he did point out to me that one of the issues that the embassy back here is really identifying some of these people who are taken up by these raids. You know, there are many people who are holding up Ghanaian passports whose identity you can't really vouch for. It's really easy to get Ghanaian passports, and so in many places, not just in the U.S., there's people who are holding Ghanaian passports who would find themselves in situations like this who may not be Ghanaians, and so the government of Ghana is now having to deal with accepting 7,000 people whose identity they don't really
they can't vouch for, or they can't say their passports are real. Thank you.
That is one of the issues here, Daniel.
Thank you so much, Justice Bedu, for joining us this afternoon from California with those updates. You might want to hit up your relatives if they live in the United States of America. Now, it appears the pressure on President Akufo-Addo to revoke the appointment of newly appointed board chair of the Ghana Revenue Authority will not wane anytime soon. The opposition National Democratic Congress is the latest to join the call for the removal of Kwame Owusu, who was alleged to engage in financial impropriety as the Ghana Maritime Authority. Mr. Owusu is, among others, accused of lavish spending on the renovation of his official residence. The NDC is accusing President Akufo-Addo of endorsing corruption in his administration. A statement issued by the party on the new appointment of the former boss of the Maritime Authority to head the GRA described the president as having developed the capacity to accommodate and promote the corrupt activities of his appointees. The NDC is demanding the revocation of Mr. Kwame Owusu's appointment if the president is really committed to fighting corruption. Member of the Finance Committee in Parliament, Kazel Atuforsen, told Joy News he will raise the matter up at the committee level for serious consideration.
Upon hearing the news, I was really shocked, shocked to the extent that I felt revenue is the blood of every company, every country, to the extent that you need revenue to be able to prosecute your ambitions in terms of your manifesto promises on anything. Citizens obviously would like to pay revenue, would like to pay their taxes, but they are more concerned about the use of the taxes to make sure that at least whatever they are paying, they are getting value out of that. Unfortunately, you are sending someone who is tainted in the eyes of the public to head the Revenue Authority. He's tainted in the sense that as we speak, no one, in fact, as I speak, no one has seen the report that will more or less exonerate him or indict him.
So if you are yet to see any such reports, Mr. Atufosin, why then will you conclude that he's tainted?
But let me tell you something. If you think the report is that clear, and clearly there's nothing wrong with him, this government wouldn't have come out and published the report. Why are they in the report as we speak? Where is the report? Why is it that the minister responsible for transport hasn't come out as we speak to say that he is cleared? Why is it that the president, the appointing authority, His Excellency the President, why is he quiet about that? We know in his record, we know what he's been saying about reports. He's the clearinghouse. He keeps clearing people. Why hasn't he cleared him to the extent that he's now even appointing him to a high office? I think the situation is bad. We all know the man is guilty. You don't need rocket science. I know he's guilty.
Well, give me evidence.
And everybody out there, the evidence is that is in the report. They're hiding the report. I am saying this on authority that they should publish the report. I am telling you that the details in the report is so bad that they cannot publish the report. I'm telling you, and so ask the minister responsible for transport. He knows the report is bad, and that is why they are sitting on the report.
So as a finance committee, is this an issue you're taking up?
I'm yet to discuss that with the committee chairman for us to take an action on this matter. But I think it's something that we have to be interested in, because the integrity of GRA is so important to us. And as I said, revenue is the blood of every country.
We want to stay with us on Joy News today because we continue the revenue conversation in business. The GRA is considering ways of streamlining taxation in the telecom sector. That's coming up when Daryl joins us. Stay with us.